Welcome to On This Day, where we look back at the moments that made history, one day at a time. From major world events to the weird and unexpected, every date has a story. So, what happened on 17th of June? Let's find out. This day is packed with stories that shaped nations, changed lives, and made headlines. From revolutionary uprisings and landmark court cases to epic sports moments and a scandal that shook the White House. There's even room for a few lighter twists that'll make you smile. Let's begin in 1972, when a quiet break-in at the Watergate office complex in Washington, D.C. would soon unravel into one of the biggest political scandals in U.S. history. 5 men were caught wiretapping and stealing documents from the Democratic National Committee. And while it didn't make huge headlines right away, it eventually led to President Nixon's resignation. All that from a nighttime heist gone wrong. Jump back to 1944 in Iceland, where something huge happened. The country officially became a republic. After centuries of foreign rule, Iceland declared independence from Denmark, and Svein Björnsson became its first president. No battles, no wars, just a peaceful step into sovereignty, celebrated with pride to this day. Now over to Germany in 1953. Tens of thousands of East German workers took to the streets in protest against their government. It started with construction workers demanding better wages, but quickly snowballed into a national uprising. Soviet tanks rolled in to crush the revolt, but the moment remained a powerful symbol of resistance behind the Iron Curtain. In 1994, the world was glued to their TVs for something surreal: the slow-speed police chase of O.J. Simpson in a white Ford Bronco. It played out like a real-life drama, with helicopters, freeway standoffs, and millions of viewers watching live. It was the beginning of a trial and media circus that dominated headlines for years. Way back in 1885, the Statue of Liberty arrived in New York Harbor, in pieces. A gift from France, she came disassembled in over 300 parts packed into crates. It would take nearly a year to put her together, but on that day, the foundation was literally being laid for one of America's most iconic landmarks. In 1991, South Africa officially ended its apartheid-era laws that classified people by race. The Population Registration Act was repealed, dismantling a cornerstone of institutionalized racism. It was a major step forward, not just legally, but symbolically, in the country's journey toward equality. And here's one for the sports fans. On June 17, 1994, not only was O.J. Simpson dominating the news, but everything was happening at once. The NBA Finals, the U.S. Open in golf, the FIFA World Cup opening ceremony, and the New York Rangers Stanley Cup parade. Sports broadcasters barely knew where to look. ESPN even made a documentary about this wild, overloaded day. Back in 1882, Igor Stravinsky was born. The Russian composer would go on to revolutionize music in the 20th century, especially with his daring ballet, The Rite of Spring, which famously caused a riot at its premiere. Not bad for a guy who started out studying law before turning to music full-time. Let's take a quick detour to France in 1940. On this day, during World War II, the French government asked Germany for an armistice after German forces had invaded and overwhelmed much of the country. It marked a major turning point in the war and the beginning of the Nazi occupation of France. And in 1631, Mumtaz Mahal, the wife of Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, passed away during childbirth. A tragedy that inspired the creation of one of the world's most beautiful buildings, the Taj Mahal. Her death wasn't just the end of a love story, it was the beginning of an architectural legacy that still takes our breath away. Love discovering what happened on this day in history? Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Now, let's get back into it. In 1997, a 15-year-old named Leanne Rimes became the youngest person ever to win a Country Music Association award. Her breakout single Blue turned her into a teenage sensation, and that win secured her place in music history. Back in 1971, President Richard Nixon declared the U.S. war on drugs. It was a policy shift that had enormous and lasting effects on American society, law enforcement, and incarceration, and one that's still heavily debated today. Over in Japan in 1944, during World War II, American B-29 bombers launched their first air raid on the Japanese mainland. It marked a major escalation in the Pacific theater, showing that the U.S. could now strike deep into enemy territory. In 1980, Venus Williams was born in Linwood, California. She'd go on to become one of the greatest tennis players of all time, dominating on the court, breaking records, and paving the way for women in sport, alongside her sister Serena. A powerhouse in every sense. And finally, in 1963, the U.S. Supreme Court made a landmark ruling in Abington School District versus Shemp, declaring it unconstitutional for schools to require Bible readings. It was a defining moment for the separation of church and state, and set legal precedents that still hold today. That's what happened on 17th of June throughout history. Made it this far? Drop your favorite historical fact in the comments. Learned something new? Hit subscribe and come back tomorrow. You never know what the past has in store.